12,000 years ago, a huge creature left footprints beneath the sands of a beach in Argentina. The tracks are now threatened by rising sea levels and the damage caused by people driving on the beach. A local paleontologist is battling to save this unique and fragile legacy.
I owe my interest in paleontology to Bianco because my parents had a weekend house here, and we came every Saturday and Sunday, not just in summer. Once, while walking between the beach and the dunes with an aunt, we found some fossilized bones, and I said to my aunt, when I grow up, I'm going to study this, and I'll appear in the papers.
After a violent storm in 1986, Teresa Manera's childhood prophecy came true. Her husband went fossil hunting on the beach near Bianco and found an area where the sand had been swept away, exposing massive tracks in the underlying siltstone. The next day, the local TV station asked Manera and fellow paleontologist Silvia Aramayo to talk about the discovery.
At the time, we realized they were going to be important to study, but never imagined the quantity and variety of footprints would make them so important. Nor did we imagine that we'd still be finding new things after so long, or that it was so vital to protect them.
Without Teresa, the footprints at Bianco would almost certainly have been lost forever. Her efforts to protect the site, interest local people and discover more have required financial sacrifice, enterprise, and single-minded dedication.
So far, there must be about 24 species. The most important, and what makes this site so important, is the great number of tracks left by megatheriums, the massive giant ground sloth, the mastodon, the extinct elephant from the region, the macrauchenia, a peculiar animal that looked like a camel with a trunk, an extinct bear, deer, guanacos, and then from time to time, new things appear. It's like having a fossilized zoo of the local fauna from 12,000 years ago.
It was some zoo. The glyptodon, a car-sized ancestor of the modern armadillo, was common in this part of South America. The macrauchenia had a short trunk, which it probably used to grab vegetation. But the largest creature, some 5 meters high, was the megatherium. Like most megafauna, it became extinct some 10,000 years ago. At that time, sea levels were far lower than they are now, and the siltstone that contains the tracks on the beach near Bianco was then mud on the shores of freshwater lakes, far from the sea.
If you imagine what this kind of place was like 12,000 years ago, you'd see a tremendous number of aquatic birds. Some megatheriums going down to the water, a group of guanacos. A bit further off there might be a puma, which could have come out of the woods over there. There might be a handful of macrauchenias. Less frequently, perhaps, a bear would come down to drink water. We wouldn't see all these animals together at once, but it would have been something dynamic, which was constantly changing, and always with aquatic birds around. Here, we can see footprints of very small birds in the mud, and if this lake continues to dry out, these prints will be preserved. So, sometime after the footprints at Bianco were made, strong winds probably covered them with sand. It's really a miracle, but it can happen in this kind of environment. This is new. It's the first time I've seen these tracks. They remind me of prints from a carpincho, a large rodent.
Among Teresa's rarest finds are a glyptodon print, mastodon tracks, prints from an extinct bear and from puma. Manera recently found horse tracks for the first time and meets her colleague Silvia Aramayo to discuss whether they were left by a long-extinct genus of horse.
Exactly. You see, this thick bone here would have been covered by the hoof nail, with skin, muscle and tendons here. But this is the covering.
In the Pleistocene period, what do we have from Equus and Hippidion?
It's present on the Playa del Barco. Do you remember we found some molars from Hippidion, which was a more robust kind of horse, but the same size as Equus?
Teresa and Silvia will have this kind of discussion many times over the next few years as they try to identify exact species from their tracks.
Pehuenco is unique in the world because we have so many footprints from these ground sloths, the megatheriums, and other species. We don't find footprints from these animals in Europe, Japan, and Asia, since they never reached those areas. These are native South American mammals. In fact, these animals did migrate towards North America, and there's a place, or used to be a place, with their footprints, but not in the same quantity and clarity as Pehuenco. What's more, the site is about 12,000 years old, which coincides with the extinction of megafauna in South America and the rest of the world.
Manera and Aramayo have lived with the footprints for 18 years. But this is the first time that Fernando Novas, one of Argentina's best-known paleontologists, has seen megatherium tracks.
This is a footprint, but this is from a hand. The most common trackways are from the foot, which suggests that they walked on two legs. In some tracks we find handprints. Perhaps we can imagine that when the mud was soft, they may sometimes have lost their balance and used their arms to steady themselves.
Yes, in reality it's fantastic evidence that shows us whether an animal of 5 tons, the weight of an elephant, walked in a semi-upright or upright posture. The thing is to imagine whether these megatherians walk completely upright like us, or
a little like an orangutan.
Bones can't tell us as much as footprints. It's as if an animal had just passed by. Perhaps it's hiding behind a sand dune. So it really feels like a megatherium is waiting for you somewhere. Footprints tell us incredible things, such as the speed it moved, whether it was solitary or had some kind of group behavior, such as moving around as a family. Its relationship with other animals, its posture when walking, they can tell us so many things. The footprints might one day help us understand what caused these extraordinary prehistoric beasts to become extinct.